So like a month ago, I looked at the calendar of all that was to come, and celebrating freedom the week before voting made perfect sense, right? Taking our given role in the way things work. One of a million ways we celebrated freedom last week. And clever Lezli, sometimes past Lezli gets called clever Lezli because she thought it would be a great idea to talk about change today. Because no matter what happened in the world, it was going to be a change. And perhaps you are one of the functionally infinite amount of people in this nation, in this world, that experienced some change in the last week. The election brought change. We've got members of the community, including myself, who are processing diagnosis information about themselves or family members or close friends. There are those among us who are experiencing job change or looking toward that. Change is the one great constant. So clever Lezli of last month thought, we'll take it right into change. And then my life started changing, and Karen joyfully said in the hallway, now whose great idea was this? Because, we know the dragon we're calling when we claim something, don't we? And it's okay. It's good. It's good. Change is the one great constant in life. It is the one thing we know, like down deep from underneath the earth, like from where Cerise sings, we know is going to happen. There's that sureness. And we resist it. We resist it. Primarily because all change, even positive change, even your most favorite change you've longed for, is stressful. It can be difficult because it introduces the unfamiliar. And as much as we may yearn for the next great experience, we also are human beings and we like what we know. It's comfortable. It's safe. And yet we know that the change is coming. So how can we come to move through it with greater ease? We can tend to feel like maybe if I just really hunker down, sit low in my chair and be really quiet, no one will notice. And I can be passed by the change. And I can stay right where I am in that safe, stuck spot. But here's the deal. Every healing is a change. Every growth is a change. We can't get to the next there with the thinking that got us here. We must evolve. We must. The good news is that we have a teaching that gives us a pathway when change shows up, whether it is the most ebullient change of joyful glee that leaves us feeling a little overwhelmed and in awe of the bigness. I mean, what do you think imposter syndrome is? It's just being overwhelmed by the bigness of the change of who we are becoming. Or whether it is a change that has rocked your universe and left you just a little bit off of center. We have a teaching that walks us home. And we're going to lean into it hard, friends. We're going to lean into it hard because I am processing my dad's Alzheimer's diagnosis. And everyone in this room is processing something. Always. Every minute. And we can't make it wrong, because if we're doing that, we're making being human wrong, and then what the heck are we doing here anyway? So we're going to figure out how on earth we can create ourselves a nice little nest in which to birth this change. Yes? Yes. Beautiful. So the first one is going to be the one you don't like, and that's okay. I'm prepared for this reaction. The first step is to feel your feelings. Yeah, we can go ahead and, I don't wanna do it. I don't want it. It feels yucky. Or it feels overwhelming. Or it feels whatever it is that we're resisting. It's the feeling that we're resisting, right? We want to hopscotch right over it. Can we skip to the good part? No. I'm so sorry for that. If I had that trick, I would be very rich. I'm probably not here. You'll notice if I figured it out, if I disappear. Now, I'll tell you the secret before I hit the road. Moving forward without processing our feelings leaves us stranded. It leaves us in a stuck spot. That's what unprocessed trauma is. It's this bit of what happened to us, this emotional state of what happened to us that gets misfiled in our brain under still happening. And none of us want to experience that, right? The best thing we can do to help ourselves fully move through the experience is to really feel our feelings. And in this teaching, there can be a little bit of a temptation, take a breath if I'm calling you out right now, to say, oh, no, I'm so spiritual. I didn't even go through feelings about that election. I'm so spiritual. I already know my dad's going to be just fine. I'm so spiritual. I've never been sick a day in my life, so this can't possibly be a true diagnostic result. You know what we call that? Spiritual bypass. Yep. Is it correct? Are we so spiritual we don't experience any of that? No, we just want to wallpaper over it, don't we? Because it feels yucky. And yet, we are human beings. We are human beings. This is true whether the change is positive or negative. Ever meet someone who accomplishes something they've been working on for years and years and doesn't even pause for the celebration and just shoots right into the next goal? Because there is discomfort in any fresh feeling. If you've got something being birthed in you that is exciting, let yourself feel it. Let yourself be where you are. The time will come when you feel ready to step out of that. And don't worry, there's 2 more points in this talk. We'll figure out what we're going to do then. But pretending like you're not in it is being so deeply unkind to yourself. You deserve to be nurtured and held and supported where you are. And you are the first person. If you don't let that happen, it can't happen. You could be surrounded with the most loving, powerful, beautiful people in the world, and it won't make it in if you don't let it. I consider myself unbelievably blessed to have lived a life that overlapped with the life of the poet Mary Oliver, my all-time favorite. And when I am feeling stuck, buried, I often turn to her words. In Wild Geese, she wrote, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves." Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, The world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves, feel what it feels. It will resolve. It will soften. It will even pass if you let it. And somewhere in all this processing, in the sitting with and the being with and the feeling in, a moment will rise up that you're ready for the next thing. You're ready for the next expression. And this is the moment when we re-anchor into our truth. What do I believe? Who am I here? What am I doing? What is this? Change is the one great constant, and yet this teaching says that spirit, the divine, the one mind, is changeless. It is unchanging. It is the one aspect of life out of which everything is built, and it does not move. Everything else, me, you, your life, your family, your work relationship, politics, national borders, all of those things are effects and subject to change, but the divine is changeless, infinite, eternal. Ernest Holmes said, "Remember that spirit exists always at the center of all form." We're form. Don't forget, we're form. It is forever expressing in and as tangible form. The forms of expression may come and go, but it is changeless and eternal. It doesn't move. And so that is what we re-anchor ourselves in. That is the place of safety. The divine is always where I am, and it is always dead center, always. Always, always. And it is in me, and it is in you, and it is in the political shifts, and it is in the diagnosis, and it is in the doctors, and it is in the pill, and it is in the prayer, and it is in the meditation, and it is in everything. But if we don't seek it, we won't see it. Because it's been there the whole time. Forever. But we have to go looking for it, or we won't see it. We go looking for it in the big, happy changes because it centers us in who we are. And we go looking for it in the big, scary changes because it centers us in who we are. It reminds us what our values are, what matter about us, why we do the things we do. And it encourages us to continue to show up. My personal favorite God quality that I like to talk about is freedom, but not this week. Not this week. This week it was divine right order. That there is an intelligence, a flow happening in the universe for the highest good of all beings, always. Even when, and I've said this a few times in the last couple of weeks, even when I can't see it yet, because we are people. So sorry if that's new news to you. We are people, and we can see as far as we can see. But the divine has this pulled back view of everyone and everything and every molecule and every motivation. And who's to say that the thing that I dread isn't the exact right thing to move this world to the place that I would claim? I can't see it right now. I'm a little buried in my stuff right now. But I know order. I know it. And there comes a point where we have to decide, am I going to trust that? Am I going to trust order as me? Am I going to re-anchor in my understanding that I am, as Vernice would say, I am the ooey gooey God stuff that moves over and through me and soothes every ruffled feather? Am I going to show up as grace in every situation? Am I going to be the place where the divine shows up beautifully? Remember, every good thing that ever happened to you came through change. And some of them you did not like in the moment. Some of them you might have thrown a bit of a tantrum about. Some of them I have thrown a bit of a tantrum about. When we are open to order, that old favorite story starts to make a lot of sense. Most of you have heard this, but it's worth telling again about the farmer whose brawny, athletic son went out into the wilds, and he came back leading a wild horse. And all the neighbors said, "Oh, how fortunate you are to have this wonderful son who brings you this horse." And he said, "Maybe so, maybe not. We shall see." And this athletic, handsome, fine young man goes to train the horse and break the horse, and he gets thrown off and he breaks his leg, and he can't help his dad in the fields. And all the neighbors came to say, "Oh, what a terrible misfortune that your son has broken his leg. Surely you have been cursed." And the man says, "Maybe so, maybe not. We shall see." And then the army comes through with the general saying, "The king has called forth every able-bodied man to come fight in this war. Come and lose your life in the honor of the king." And the son, with his broken leg, he cannot go. And the neighbors come and they say, "Oh, what a lucky man you are for the timing of this broken leg, that your son cannot go to war and he will continue to live." Maybe so, maybe not. We shall see. That is the story of life. There's a reason it exists in some form in almost every culture. Maybe so, maybe not. But what we know for sure is that Spirit is right here, unchanging, unbuffeted by the winds that are knocking us around. When this starts to sound like something that doesn't want to make you swear at me, I get it. It's time to use your tools. In the song that Cerise just sang, it said, when it looks like it's falling through, it's falling into place. When it looks like it's falling through, it's falling into place. So use your tools to help you find it. Use your tools. You know what they are. Surely. If you've been here more, the one lady who acknowledges being here for the first time, she's off the hook on this. But everybody else knows what your daily, substantial, spiritual practice is, right? Y'all better know by now. We have prayer, we have meditation, we have affirmations, we have working with practitioners. So a thing you might not know about me is I am terrible with directions. I personally believe I metaphysically called forth the existence of GPS. Otherwise, I would be stranded in a desert somewhere. I would be on a milk carton. You don't get all of this fabulous without giving something up. And apparently, what I gave up was any sense of direction whatsoever. It's famous in my family. Like, the city I grew up in, I regularly lose myself in it when I'm there. It's Des Moines. It's not big enough to get lost in, I assure you. So what do? Do I wander about trying to hopefully not get lost? No. Google Maps is on my phone. I use my tools. Here's the thing, though. Big change takes deep work. This is not going to be something that you can paper over with a couple of affirmations. Remember a little while ago when we talked about what we get out of life is not, what we manifest is not a reward, it's a reflection? Well, what we are walking through right now is a reflection of the collective consciousness. And we are not going to shift that with papered over positive thoughts. It's going to take more. It's going to take looking on the inside of ourselves and seeing where the beliefs are in each one of us that allowed for this to happen. Now, this isn't blaming ourselves. This isn't shaming ourselves. This is saying, I wish to see something else. How can I show up in a way that invites the something else? And what in me doesn't match that vibration? And am I brave enough to work with a practitioner and or a therapist and or a minister and or a wise friend and or my journal, or all of the above? I'm a fan of all of the above, to find where those mismatches are and pull them out. It's a courage thing. Our prac students would tell you it takes a lot to be willing to face those parts of ourselves from back when we did just paper over it and scooch out of that scary feeling our feelings spot. But I believe in you. I believe in this movement. I believe in myself. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of this teaching, he said, to realize that God is ever present, ever available, is to know that all the wisdom, intelligence, and power of the universe is right where you are. Your word is power when you know this. This is why everything in your life depends upon your belief, why it is done unto you as you believe. Change your belief and you can change this world. You can change how you show up in it. You can change how you feel about it. You can change how you process it. You can change what you're calling forward. You can change what you're giving out. You can find space in yourself to grow bigger, to match those big changes. And you can find the place within yourself to be the power that projects out into the world to create the change you need to see. You can. I know it. I've seen it. Here's the thing. This is kind of my summatory thought. In our Declaration of Principles, in this teaching, it says something that I hold on to with every ounce of my being. It says, we believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. And our job, as I see it, as people who have chosen to walk through life with this way of thinking, is to be a source of showing up as ever-loving kindness, as eternal goodness, to be the givingness of life to all. That is how life gives to all. And so here's the invitation. Know where you are in this process. If you are in the feeling your feelings, let yourself be there until you're ready for the next phase. If you're in the anchoring in your truth, anchor deep. Anchor deep. And if you're ready to use your tools, use them powerfully. We are here to reveal the power of love. That's your job this week. Reveal the power of love right where you are. And so it is. let us anchor this in with some prayer. How good it is to be together in this moment, everyone within the sound of my voice, consciousness gathered together in this room with our online campus, even with the beloveds who are watching this recording sometime in the mysterious future. What I know is there is no time and space in God. How good it is to know that we have this teaching to guide us back to center over and over every time. To know that God's stuff of which we are all made is within each one of us, supporting, leading, growing us every moment. I trust that every concern on each heart that was brought into this service, that Spirit's already working on it, in, through, and as each beloved. And so I just have a grateful heart to not be adrift alone in the changes of life, to know that all is always unfolding for the high and best of all life, even in the moments when we can't see it. So grateful. And so I just let it be, as we say together. And so it is.